As we move into the colder months, it's time to give your skincare routine a refresh. That's why this episode of Infinite Scroll is sponsored by Fresh. Winter can be a vulnerable time for our skin. I personally suffer from eczema during the colder months, so prioritizing hydration is super important to keep my skin healthy this season. Recently, I'm obsessed with the Fresh Rose Deep Hydration Facial Toner and Face Cream. Clinically proven to strengthen the skin barrier and lock in moisture for a full 24 hours, the Rose collection is crafted with care and transparency so we look and feel like the best version of ourselves no matter what the weather. To help prepare us for the colder months, Fresh is inviting you, my listeners, to refresh with Rose and feel good in your skin by coming along with a complimentary rose-filled immersive experience on Friday, 7th of June at Hermetica in Woolloomooloo, Sydney. Get some R&R with express facials, hand pamper sessions, rose-infused treats, and more. Click the link in the show notes to get all the event details and secure your free spot. On January 24th, 2023, TikTok star Michaela Noguera posted a review for L'Oreal's telescopic lift washable mascara. Like the beauty gurus before her, Michaela built her career off makeup tutorials and product reviews, growing her audience to over 15 million followers and counting. In the video, Michaela appeared on screen with one eye made up, showing the application of a single coat of mascara to her other bare eye. She then said she would apply a second coat of mascara off screen. When Michaela returned in the following clip, it was clear she added something extra to her makeup, some wispy fake lashes that she had tried to pass off as the L'Oreal mascara.
I am speechless, and I'm not sure anyone's gonna ever be able to compete with this.
Michaela's video sparked a wave of backlash. Not only was it obvious that she was lying about wearing fake eyelashes, but it seemed like she was also lying about the review being sponsored by L'Oreal, only adding the paid partnership tag to the video days later. The scandal, dubbed Lashgate, made international headlines and confirmed the bias that so many social media users have against influencers, that their reviews are untrustworthy and they'll do anything, like wearing fake eyelashes in a mascara review, for a payday. From Centennial World, I'm Lauren Meisner, and this is Infinite Scroll, a podcast about internet culture, the creator economy, and how social media is shaping Gen Z. Welcome back to Infinite Scroll, everyone. I'm so excited to bring you guys this episode, and I have a very exciting co-host with me today. I am currently co-hosting with Meredith Lynch. She is a TikTok star and private equity's #1 arch nemesis. Welcome, Meredith.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, Lauren. This is one of my favorite podcasts, and I love what you're doing. And so I reached out to you and said, can I please come on your podcast? And you were so lovely and said, yes, you can. And then, yeah, I've been loving following this journey for you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. That honestly means so much. I have been following you on TikTok, I think since 2020. I think I followed you through Centennial's account, but I'm just like obsessed with your content. And I feel like we've just had this synergy. So for anyone that doesn't know kind of what you do and who you are, do you want to give them a quick breakdown?
Yes. So I am a writer. I'm a comedian. I am a regular 9 to 5 person as well, trying to juggle it all and not usually getting it right. But I really fell into TikTok during the pandemic. I had moved from Boston to Los Angeles, and I really didn't know anyone here other than my husband. And it was peak pandemic. And so I started making content a little bit. Like I started doing some of the makeup videos, and it kind of like took off, and I got a little bit of a following. And I would say after about a year, I started moving more into the pop culture space and doing more around that, which also felt much more natural to me. I've always been like a pop culture person. At the same time, I started working on my MFA in creative writing. And so, it's kind of evolved from me being someone who made videos about mascara, which is fine and great, to someone who talks about private equity, and my content is constantly evolving. And I think that if you want to be on the internet and have a presence in the long term, you have to be open to evolving as well.
Absolutely. And you just launched a podcast, Oddly Specific. Do you want to tell us about that a little bit?
I did. I launched a podcast last month. It's called Oddly Specific. It is the only podcast that covers everything from private equity to Pete Davidson. It is basically half the episode is about private equity, which I do a lot of content about on my page. And then it is something oddly specific where one of my guests and I talk about something that I remember or they remember, maybe an episode of Dawson's Creek, or today we were talking about the Babysitter's Club books. So it's always just something kind of like nostalgic and fun. I think it pairs really well with like talking about this way that corporate entities are like making the wealth gap bigger than it already should be, and then like throwing in a little bit of pop culture at the end as a palate cleanser.
Love that. No, it's so good. You are literally killing it. I know you're self-funding the podcast as well, which as a fellow self-funded podcast girly, it is very difficult. It's a lot of work. So kudos to you for sure. All right. So before we get into the episode, guys, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. It means so much. It helps me grow. It helps me keep going. Speaking of self-funded podcast girlies, please also sign up to our newsletter, which is called Infinite Scroll. On Wednesdays, we send out a commentary article about a trend, creator, drama, or news. And on Fridays, we round up the 5 biggest think pieces on the internet from that week. And also join our Geneva group, which is also called Infinite Scroll, where you can chat with other people who are obsessed with internet culture and creator, drama, and tea. And you can chat with me. So, as you can probably tell from the title of this episode, we are going to be discussing influencer marketing and like social media scams. So, we have discussed influencer marketing at length on this podcast, but we've never really done a deep dive into the different kind of fraud that pops up across this type of content. So, aside from our favorite beauty gurus shilling products or TikTokers failing to disclose partnerships, there are some pretty wild examples that we're going to go through today. So, I wanted to share quickly the reason behind this episode. So, this episode was inspired by a creator named Lillee Jean. Meredith, have you heard of Lillee Jean before?
I did not know about Lillee Jean until today. And can I just tell you, I'm obsessed with Lillee Jean. I was really enjoying reading about her from this. And then I was like, okay, now I got to go see Lillee Jean. And it was wilder than I actually imagined it to be. We can break it down and then we will get into the very specific questions that I have regarding Lillee Jean.
Okay, perfect. So, for anyone that doesn't know, Lillee is not your regular influencer. She is actually barely an influencer at all. She went viral back in 2020 when commentary creators started pointing out that she was essentially faking her influencer career. So, she was recently brought up again among the commentary community, and I'll explain why in a second. But this resurgence of interest in Lillee got me looking into different social media scams and fraudulent influencers, which is obviously what inspired this episode. So, for context, Lillee Jean is a 23-year-old content creator. She is based in New York. And if you scroll through any of her social media posts or profiles, you'll find clips promoting her acting and various projects that she's involved in. However, Lillee didn't always use social media for her acting career. She initially gained attention as a beauty guru. So as of recording, Lillee has 1.1 million followers on Instagram and just under 30,000 on YouTube. But if you haven't heard of Lillee before, you're not alone. Most people haven't. In fact, this lack of recognition is exactly why her social media following raised eyebrows back in 2020. So this all started with a Reddit post by a user named Throwaway Victory, who pointed out some suspicious details across Lillee's profiles and her social media presence at large. The post essentially questioned how Lillee Jean has managed to work with so many brands while having extremely low engagement rates across her social media profiles. Quote, her recent post engagement has taken a huge nosedive despite her follower count increasing, and she averages anywhere from 100 to 1,000 likes compared to her consistent 15,000 to 20,000 likes in the past. Even with an algorithm change, drop-offs aren't usually this dramatic, wrote Throwaway Victory. So this user theorized that Lillee has spent money buying followers and engagement, and they also speculated whether Lillee created fake fan accounts to help foster the appearance of having clout or fans. And after scrolling through Lillee's posts, Throwaway Victory concluded that there seemed to be several consistent commenters, many of which were fan pages for Lillee. They came to the conclusion that these were self-owned for 3 reasons. One, quote, these accounts mostly repost her content and often have a post with highly detailed backstory on how they met her or found her on social media. 2, each of the accounts listed tag 100% of their posts with the hashtag Lillee Jean, regardless of its relevance. And 3, most, if not all of the accounts follow each other. And then to make matters even more confusing and problematic, each of these commenters had a distinct persona, most of them drawing on different stereotypes and discriminatory beliefs. Users note that one of the profiles was an African-American woman named Shaniqua who would type in AAVE and often use the N-word. shared. If these accounts were created by Lillee, as speculated, there is no denying that this is obviously extremely problematic given that she is not a Black woman herself. So soon, commentary creators like Angelica Oles and Priming and Curtis Price picked up the story, pointing out additional odd details about Lillee's profile. Priming's video has become one of the most widespread in the space, amassing 10 million views since 2020. So there were many examples, but there seemed to be 3 specific instances that were just kind of weird. One where Lillee photoshopped a picture of Katy Perry at the Met Gala to make it appear as if she also was attending the Met Gala. Another was when she pretended to be partnering with Bite Beauty on a new lipstick. So for anyone that is aware of Bite, they have these labs and you can create your own lipsticks like at their labs. And she basically did that, created a lipstick, and then she was essentially passing this off as like an exclusive collaboration that she did with the brand, like creating her own custom shade with the brand that you could purchase, when really she just went to like this Bite lab that anyone can go to and make their own lipstick shade. And lastly, Lillee claimed that she collaborated with CoverGirl to be featured on a billboard in Times Square. Though she did in fact feature on a screen, it's because she had won a competition that anyone could enter. So while this has been going on for years, there have been recent developments in the story that have brought Lillee Jean back to the forefront of viral news. In the last few weeks, creators Primink and Curtis Price have made videos updating their followers on what has happened since they made an initial video on Lillee Jean. Both have noted that Lillee and her mother, Laura Truman, who is also her manager, have attempted to copyright strike any content that she was featured in, claiming that it was slanderous and defamatory. I'm actually a little bit scared about what they're going to do about this podcast episode. Primink explained that after multiple attempts to take down his video, they claimed that they trademarked the image of Lillee that he used in the thumbnail.
The next thing they did is that they took the photo that I used in my thumbnail and they went and got it registered for like an official copyright with the US government. They got like a fancy paper and like documents, and then they took those documents to YouTube and they're like, hey YouTube, we have this photo registered with the government, you need to take it down. And then YouTube was like, no, sorry, it's still fair use.
Among other claims, Lillee and Laura alleged to have his content removed. Primink mentioned that the mother-daughter duo claimed they had provided his details to the district attorney's office. They even accused the creator of having, quote, a penchant for playing with children under 16 years old. In Curtis Price's video, he made similar claims about Lillee and Laura. He also claimed that the pair filed a police report against him, doxed him and his family, and claimed that he was part of a neo-Nazi organization. So while Primink and Curtis are just 2 examples, other creators and users have come forth to criticize Lillee and Laura for abusing YouTube's copyright policy, especially when so many small creators struggle to navigate these systems. So in short, obviously Lillee is a very big example of like a fraudulent influencer or fraudulent behavior online. What do you have to say about that, Meredith?
I'm of many minds about it, and I really don't agree with it, but I want to back up just for a second and say it's really hard to make it as a content creator, as a full-time content creator, in particular, I think now in the beauty space, because it's just so oversaturated. And one of the reasons that I chose to move away from doing beauty content creation is because I realized like I'm not an expert in makeup or beauty. Not that I think you have to be, but like there are content creators on there who I really enjoy following who are licensed estheticians, who are makeup artists who, you know, went to NYU and then, you know, took their artistic skills and became full-time makeup artists. So I think that to some extent, you can kind of understand how someone would be scrappy and be like, you know what? I'm just going to fake it until I make it. And hopefully eventually I make it. Now, here's the difference. It's one thing to try to make it seem like perhaps you have a partnership or, you know, you're unboxing something and you're acting like it was sent to you as PR or something. It's quite another to make fan pages of yourself. And I would argue, had she just done the slow rollout of like, oh, wow, like, did she have a partnership with them or did she just go there versus creating fake accounts or pretending to be at the Met Gala? She probably could have made it because if you're this determined to be a content creator, you probably can be. And if you have the backing of a parent, that can probably help you a lot more. So that's like my one part of it. But then on the other hand, I think it's really interesting because she clearly wants to be a public figure. I'm looking at her page. She is putting up acting reels. She is talking about hosting a TV show. She's all these different things. And honestly, who knows the validity of what I was looking at? But one of the things that you have to make a trade off with is if you want to be a public figure, you have to accept that you're going to be talked about. There's going to be commentary on you. So this idea of taking these content creators who are reporting on you and then doxing them or, hitting them with these things, which to be honest with you, I look at this and I say, well, saying that stuff about a content creator in regards to 16-year-olds, that is the only thing that I could see as defamation potentially. So that's some of my first thoughts. And I also am like, I'll tell you who the scary one here is. It's Lore. It's not Lillee Jean.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's so much out there as well of like when you are starting a business, for example, where the advice is fake it till you make it. And there's so much smoke and mirrors when it comes to anything where you're, I don't know, social media in general, but the creator economy, even entrepreneurship, like so much of it is like what it looks like from the outside. So I agree. If she had just not taken it that step farther, of like photoshopping herself to make it look like she was at the Met Gala or starting these fan pages. But then again, when you think about the early Tumblr days, this is kind of a niche example, but like Alexis Ren allegedly, like obviously she had a bit of a fan base on Tumblr, but then she was allegedly making a bunch of fan pages for herself on Instagram when Instagram first launched so that she could build a following and get verified. And that was like a strategy that people, were using, that was social media gurus, quote unquote, were telling people to use back in the day as well. So I agree that Lore, her mother, is the biggest culprit here because Lillee, being only 23 and all of this kind of started when she was still a teenager, she would have been so young. I see a lot of what she's doing as like following the advice of what either social media gurus are telling her to do on like those courses that they're selling and things like that, or just general like entrepreneurship advice.
Yeah. And I mean, just looking at the stats on her profile, right? 1.1 million followers is a lot of followers on Instagram. And I know some people might not realize it, but the metrics of each platform are quite different. Like, for example, I have, I don't know, coming up on 300,000 on TikTok, a little under that, right? But I have 17,000 on Instagram. That's a huge difference. It is much harder to get Instagram followers and retain Instagram followers. So you're going to have to be doing something that's very different and very niche in standing out to get 1.1 million. And I say this with a love of the arts and a love for people who show up and show out. But like, she's got a video where she's just doing a monologue from, I believe it's Office Christmas Party. And like it has 760 comments and you're like, what? Okay, first of all, I had to like clock in my head. Like I was like, was that a movie? Yes, it was a movie. Okay. And I mean, I have a lot of friends here in LA who are in the acting world. I've never seen any of them put up a monologue from like really from anything, but especially from like a movie that someone would go, was that a movie? Was that a movie or was that like just an SNL skit? And so she puts it up and it has 760 comments. So I'm like, that's wild. So I'm reading through the comments. They're all just like 7 hearts. It's just emoji comments. And I was like, okay, I got so excited because I was like, oh, these comments are going to be great. Like this is, at least the comments are going to deliver. But I'm just like, no, I think they're bot accounts hyping up her video. That's my opinion, Lore. Listen, Laura, I have a lawyer. I know the rules now. You don't want to try me. I think it's bot accounts. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, the comments are turned off. So I couldn't even comment.
Oh my God.
It said comments have been limited. So I think she either has it only for followers or they're turned off.
Oh my God, that is tea. I didn't even notice that. I wonder if it's because they've started making, like these commentary channels have started making more videos about her again. That's so interesting.
Yes. I don't know. I feel like Lillee felt like a character from a TV show. She had this one video that was like an ad that she had made for blush. And it was like, this is blush in several colors. And it's Joya blush, but like it doesn't have it tagged or anything. And she's like, I made this ad and I wrote it. And I was like, wait, this is a sketch, right? Like, cause she's trying to be an actress. So I was like, this is a joke, right? And then I realized like, it's not a joke. So the only problem I think with Lillee is that she's not in on the bit.
Ooh, I love that take. Yeah, if she just leaned in, it would actually like pop off. People would love that. Okay, so obviously fake followers and fake engagement are far from the only types of, quote unquote scams on social media. So we're going to explore some other ways that social media enables fraudulent behavior, including some different ways that influencers or even just everyday users can scam their followers. So from my perspective, online review culture was probably the start of our kind of growing distrust in influencer marketing. As influencer marketing took over the digital space, social media and our lives within it became totally commodified. Nowadays, SpawnCon floods our feeds, and almost every influencer has some sort of product placement on their Instagram grid. Initially, the average internet user wasn't entirely aware of the inner workings of the creator economy, but as we came to understand the landscape, especially influencer brand partnerships and affiliate links, things started to get a bit murky. So OG creators like Zoella, Nikki Tutorials, and Jaclyn Hill soon faced repeated criticism for failing to disclose affiliate links and being unclear about sponsored content. This, in turn, eroded many viewers' trust in their favorite influencers, leaving them uncertain about whether a review was genuine or part of a promotional deal. As the gap widened between creators and their audiences, things took a turn for the worse. Many viewers started resenting influencers as they flaunted their privileged lifestyles and the opportunities afforded to them. As a result, users not only distrusted creators, but were less inclined to listen to a creator's opinion, even on something as uncontroversial as a mascara or a foundation, for example. As audiences move away from influencer reviews, many internet users are turning to crowdsourced information for the rundown on different products. This, of course, has fueled the explosion of information sharing and review-style content on platforms like TikTok. However, the problem of fake reviews seemingly did carry over to TikTok, and Michaela Noguera, as I mentioned in the intro, is case in point. So after rising to TikTok fame in 2020, Michaela gained recognition for her beauty reviews, tutorials, and her Boston accent, though it is still up for debate if her accent is exaggerated or not. Since then, she's emerged as a key player on TikTok, successfully establishing a niche for short-form beauty reviews. However, after a string of dishonest brand deals like Lashgate and various quote-unquote cash grab collaborations, Michaela seriously lost the trust of her followers. Once considered the TikTok blueprint, praised for her unfiltered reviews, Michaela's credibility soon waned. Today, her comment section is filled with criticism, questioning the authenticity of much of her content. Many of the creators who are accused of posting fake reviews are from the beauty space, and I would love to hear your take on this, why you think that is. Is it possibly, like in my opinion, I think it's possibly a little bit of misogyny because the beauty space is, very female dominated. But I also wonder if it's because makeup and skincare and beauty in general is so subjective, and therefore it's easy to kind of fake a review. If you are a creator and you're getting a brand deal, you don't want to say no to that money. It's easy for you to say like, oh my God, this went on my skin so well. Like, look at this pigment on me. And if someone's like, this didn't look like this on me, it's easy to be like, well, you just have a different skin type than me.
I think that's a really great question. I want to back up for 1 second because I think there's also something about people not always wanting women to have money. And and that's misogyny. And I don't even know if people always realize it yet. But I think that part of this is the parasocial relationship that gets formed between a content consumer and someone who they're watching. They build trust with them and they want to feel like this is a relationship that's happening because you want to talk to me just as much as I want to hear from you. And what I think people don't realize sometimes is that for a lot of these people, this is their livelihood, this is their career. And in the early days, just going back for a moment, I think part of the problem was the FTC was really murky around the ways in which content creators had to disclose. So 15 years ago, when these people were first coming on the scene with these makeup review videos, and there weren't like these really, now you go on the FTC and there are guidelines and Michaela knows about them and Jaclyn Hill knows about them. It's very well known. But I get how like 15 years ago, you could kind of get away with it and it was a little murkier. And I'm not making an excuse for it, but I do think that it was a little less understood what this was, right? Like when we watch an ad for Aveeno with, Jennifer Aniston in it, she doesn't come on and say, hi, I'm being paid by Aveeno, right? She doesn't. She's like, I just love Aveeno. And I don't think people look at it and say, oh my God, she got money for that. I don't think that's the first thing they think. I think they think there's Jennifer Aniston from Friends with Aveeno. So there's that. So I do think that some of it's misogyny. I do wonder, like, if it was men, talking about skincare, talking about, whatever. I think men in the creator world have it a lot easier.
Mhm.
In particular, I would say it's white men too, have it like, they definitely get away with a lot more. So I think that there is more scrutiny on women. And at the same time, though, as someone who has been duped by some of these products and reviews, it does really make you realize, like, these people, I understand, but they will sometimes plug products that you're like, there's no way that you liked this that much. And that can be disheartening. So I think it's a very much a both and.
Yeah, I see that for sure. And I think there's probably an element to it as well. Like you said, with the FTC and guidelines around the world 15, even 10 years ago, the general consumer didn't quite understand. But I also think the influencers didn't understand, like, I mean, again, like I'm not making excuses for them either. I understand everybody gets it now and everybody knows what they're supposed to be following at this point. But back then, there was a lot of scrutiny on Jaclyn Hill, for example, which I'll talk about in a minute, where she wouldn't disclose affiliate links that she was getting a kickback. But Jaclyn Hill was one of the first influencers ever to use affiliate links and for brands to like try that out with her. And I would argue that in those early days, she probably had no idea that she was supposed to be disclosing this. And the brands probably didn't really know either because there were actually no guidelines around it. So I think it's very murky. I agree. And then to the point of men getting it much easier in the creator space, I actually wanted to speak about an example that I have of one of the big tech reviewers, Marques Brownlee. So he recently went viral. Well, he's a huge creator, but a situation around him went viral a couple weeks ago because he actually did a tech review. So he's a tech reviewer, obviously very different than beauty and much more objective, I would argue. And he got backlash for being too honest about a product, which I think shows you the complete disparity between like men and women in this space. So in April of this year, Marques posted a product review for the Humane AI pin. The Humane AI pin is a wearable computer. It's like a brooch that you clip onto your shirt and it can answer questions, it can take photos and videos, it can send messages allegedly, and it costs $700. The pin is new and many tech creators and journalists were trying it at the time, and the vast majority were giving it a negative review. So most people said that the pin just doesn't do what it claims that it can do yet. It's nowhere near perfected enough to be out on the market. One example was from The Verge, where they showed that the pin can't play Beyonce songs because it can't compute with the accent in her name. Like, it was just too early for this pin to be sent out for reviews
If it
and to
can't
be
play
on the market.
Beyonce, right? Like,
Literally.
if this thing can't play Beyonce, it's not ready. It's not ready for market.
Exactly. So basically, Marques gave it, a negative review and said, like, this is stupid and it shouldn't be on the market. He didn't say it should never be on the market. He was just like, it's not ready. And he was not the only one, like I said, to give it a negative review, but his review copped so much backlash, especially on blue check Twitter, which I know is not super valid, but it was an interesting kind of case study in this case. So Daniel Vasallo wrote, I find it distasteful, almost unethical to say this when you have 18 million subscribers. Hard to explain why, but with great reach comes great responsibility. Potentially killing someone else's nascent project reeks of carelessness. First, do no harm. And then Marques responded and said, we disagree on what my job is, which is like, perfect. But so many people agreed with this initial tweet and it became this huge topic of conversation. So I really want to hear your perspective on this.
Okay, first of all, is that the Hippocratic Oath?
First, do
Okay.
no harm. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta back up because I'm telling you, this is someone's gonna get set on fire from this thing. If you're telling me it overheats, it's only a matter of time before this pin sets on fire. So let's start there, Daniel. This is wild to me because on the one hand, people say that they want reviews, but not if it doesn't align with what they think it should be, I guess. It reminds me of this very specific thing, but I think that you and your listeners will appreciate it. The TV show Only Murders in the Building. I watched the first season. It's Selena Gomez and Martin Short and Steve Martin. And I really liked the first season. And then I went to watch the second season and I didn't really like it. And so I made a video and I said, oh, I watched the first season, but watching the second, I don't really like it. People were so mad at me for saying that I didn't like the second season of Only Murders in the Building.
Oh my God.
They were like, this is because you hate Selena Gomez. I was like, no, I've never even talked about her before. I know like there's nothing. It's just I didn't care for it. I'm so sorry. And so I think that the thing is that we oftentimes decide in our heads that people are going to have the same opinion as us. And we look at that as confirmation to our own experiences. So when someone doesn't, it really can like create this interesting reaction in people. But it's one thing to make fun of, like, maybe somebody puts their life's work into a play and then you just rip it apart, right? But a tech product, especially one that uses AI, which is a technology that I don't think it's going to ruin us, but I think it's something to be careful and to be aware of.
Mhm.
So I worry about people criticizing people for having an opinion when it comes
Yeah.
to things like that.
Well, especially like it objectively was not delivering on what it was supposed to. I think this is a good example of the fact that the people that were angry at Marquez's review is like they were trying to protect the founders of this pin or whatever. And to me, that's just like so indicative of like tech bro culture. It's like you're trashing someone's dream. And it's like we never say that about any other product review. You're giving, an indie beauty brand a negative review for their eyeshadow. No one's like, you're trashing the founder's dream. And I think it's so unique, probably to that like very niche tech founder space, like that Silicon Valley vibe where they're just trying to like protect each other and they just think that they're like changing the world, but everything that they're doing, well, not everything, but a lot of what they're doing is actually causing more harm. But speaking of AI, distrust in influencers is really only going to get worse with the rise of AI. So there's a new piece for the business of fashion. Writer Sophia Qureshi argues that with artificial intelligence and large language models like ChatGPT, it's becoming increasingly easy for bots to flood websites and social media comment sections with positive product reviews, further eroding trust. Quote, the line between authentic reviews and AI generated content is itself beginning to blur as review platforms roll out new AI powered tools to assist their communities in writing reviews. Ultimately, fake reviews can mislead consumers into buying counterfeit products, which represent a risk to a shopper's health and well being, as well as their wallet. So, all in all, the looming influence of AI and the skepticism towards influencers have created this perfect storm for the demise of reviews as a popular form of content. And as a result, many social media users have fallen prey to confirmation bias, which is the tendency to interpret and remember information that aligns with our existing beliefs and preferences, which is what you said before, Meredith. So, in addition to the proliferation of fake reviews, failure to disclose affiliate links or sponsored content is probably the most long-standing issue in influencer marketing. And like I said before, Jaclyn Hill is always or often considered, I guess, kind of like the blueprint for this, which is a wild like statement to make when it comes to at least like beauty influencers. She has been using affiliate links long before so many influencers even knew what they were, really. She was like one of the first. It's taken her a lot. I think it's taken her about 10 years to start disclosing it properly for sure. But I mean, like we said before, part of that is that things weren't catching up with them. So a fun little tidbit about this is that Here for the Tea, the drama channel, she actually started because she noticed that Jaclyn had so many affiliate links in her description boxes for makeup that she used, but she never disclosed. And disclosing really just means like you're disclosing that you're going to be paid a small commission, usually a small kickback, if somebody clicks on the link and purchases something through that link. So Here for the Tea wanted to educate consumers about what affiliate marketing was and how YouTubers like Jaclyn were profiting off of it without us knowing. Interestingly, a few years ago, Jaclyn started doing Amazon hauls and like fave videos when her makeup reviews and product reviews were kind of falling off anyways, like in general, when the beauty industry was going through this really big change online. So now, in addition to affiliate links in her makeup videos, these videos were literally just affiliate marketing videos, but like completely undisclosed. And then 8 months ago, she did start disclosing this. So there's a lot of questions around if she did get some type of like slap on the wrist or something from the FTC, but that was 10 years after joining YouTube.
Wow. That's wild to me. And I do think that it can be so easy. I feel like all you would have to do is to put after all the links in parentheses, you could just write may earn affiliate commission. You don't even have to say how much you earn. You can just say, I could earn it. And I don't think that will detract people from necessarily buying something if you are showing it in a way that it looks good. And the other thing I would say is that just from a user experience perspective, I often wonder how many people are actually buying through affiliate links.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I will click on like I mean, I guess it's not swipe up anymore, but I will click on a link in like someone's Instagram story if they're like, here's my pants or whatever, and I really like their outfit, I'll click on it. But I don't think I've ever actually purchased it. Like I'll look at it, I might screenshot it, save it for later, but I've never like impulsively purchased it.
Yes, I can't think of a single time I've used someone's affiliate link. And so I also wonder, I mean, Jacqueline's a little bit different because she does have this huge following and she was in the game so much earlier. But I really do wonder these days how much she is making from affiliate links. I doubt that it's that much. And then the other thing that I would say that I caution people about this, especially if you're someone who wants to become a content creator, is there is no legitimate way for you to ensure that you are getting all of the money that you should be from affiliate
Mm.
marketing, right? Like, yes, it's saying that 30 people clicked on my link and 5 people bought, but maybe 10 people bought and you don't get all of it. It's not like going into a job and punching in every day and knowing I was there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and this is the money that I make. It is not a reliable source of income and, a brand being honest with, like, I'm sure there are plenty that are, but I'm just saying, like, there's no concrete way to ensure that you're getting the money that you should be getting.
Oh my God, I've never thought of that before. That is such a good point. But have you ever found, like, as a content creator, and if you've had brands approach you for different deals and things like that, have you found that they ask you to not disclose? Because I think sometimes that's the argument in favor of creators or influencers is if they're not disclosing, it's like, well, the brand probably pays them more to not disclose. And so they just go with it.
So I've never had someone say don't disclose, but I do think that most brands are not great about telling you that you need to disclose and how to disclose. I think actually, as I've been on there longer, it's gotten better. A lot of the places that I've worked with will give you the FTC guidelines and say, you need to do XYZ thing. If you have questions, these are the FTC guidelines. I have had a couple, I think there was one time where I said, like, I had to sort of push back on someone and say, like, oh, well, I do have to disclose XYZ thing. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. But I've never had a brand reach out to me and say, like, oh, if you don't disclose, we will pay you more money. But I will also add that the brands that I work with, especially in 2024, which isn't tons, tends to be very ethical
Mhm.
and want to also not get in trouble. But the creator will always get in trouble before the brand, which I also think is just sort of such a reflection of, like, individuals over corporations are the ones who end up paying for, the cost of doing business.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of our experience too. I'm trying to think like from a business perspective when we have advertisers and stuff, I would say more and more in the probably even just in the last like 18 months, there's usually something in the brief that says like you must disclose based on XYZ. But we just got our first US deal and the
Yay.
yeah, it's very exciting because we do have a big US audience and like I guess the regulations and like the guidelines section of that contract was so extensive. I was like, okay, either this brand has been burned before or they're so much stricter maybe in the US than they are in Australia. I don't know, but it was actually like really eye-opening. I couldn't believe like how much we had to like sign and kind of agree to, I guess, in terms of disclosing, which is good because that's like the way that the industry obviously needs to go. But I agree, I've never had a brand in our experience as a business like say, can you not disclose? But I also feel like the brands that you're working with, like they know they can't get away with that saying that to you. And I think business to business, they know they can't get away with that either.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if a brand comes at me out of pocket, which happens from time to time, like I'm going to, shut it down pretty quickly. So I get it. The brands who I do work with, I usually find to be quite ethical and wonderful to work with.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about promoting scams because this is another thing that it's happened for a while. I'll give it a kind of an older example in the beauty space, but we're seeing it more and more, especially with gambling, like creators promoting gambling and crypto. We saw a lot in recent years. So influencers are frequently accused of not having real jobs and providing no real value to society, which everybody knows I don't agree with. Those who don't understand the industry of content creation or how influencer marketing works love to call influencers grifters or scammers. And while this is not the truth for most creators, and Everyone deserves to be paid for their work, even if it is quote unquote just posting TikTok videos. There have been a few notable examples over the years that seemed to validate this reputation. So in 2018, high profile YouTubers Tana Mojo and Gabby Hanna promoted a brand called Kenza Cosmetics on their channels. In these posts, which went out to millions of followers, the creators said that Kenza was doing a promotion for 48 hours only, where their makeup brushes were free and all you had to do was pay the $10 shipping. This obviously sounded too good to be true, and tons of people flocked to Twitter to warn against buying from the company. Some users noted that there was nothing online about the company and their website didn't look legit. And then some Kenza customers jumped in, posting about how they had ordered from the website months ago and still hadn't received anything. One even shared a screenshot of like 50 emails that she had sent to Kenza's customer service with no response after not receiving her brushes. People also found the same brushes on AliExpress for like $5, which obviously is like half the price of what consumers were paying for the alleged $10 shipping. It was obviously just a very sketchy situation. So Drama and Commentary Channel started reporting on this. Again, this was 2018, so this was before mainstream media really covered the creator economy. I think if this happened today, I mean, the internet culture journalists would be on it. But Tana did not say anything. Gabby Hanna did respond to the backlash. So Gabby made a video talking through how many brand deal offers she gets and turns down, basically trying to say that like she did the Kenza deal because she liked the brushes and felt comfortable advertising them to her followers. She was trying to, I think, use this video to explain why she is a reliable source and that they should be okay with the Kenza deal. But then in the video, she said,
I'm not sure what quality people were expecting when they paid $10 for 10 brushes, but I would also add, manage your expectations a little bit.
I knew nothing about this, and I guess it's probably because face at the time. But to me, it does remind me a little bit of when I sometimes look at subscription boxes. You know, there are all these subscription boxes. I feel like kind of they're going away now, but there would be brands in them that like you'd be like, I've never heard of this brand. And then when you would click on the brand, like the Instagram, it would have like 70 followers. And like then you'd go on the website and there would be like no products you could buy. So I think that there's just in 2018, I bet was kind of like the early days of drop shipping. So I'm sure that people were probably like, oh my God, look what we can do. We can create these brushes. All you have to do is pay for shipping, which by the way, $10 for shipping is actually kind of a lot. If you ask me, for something as light as brushes, when you can get so much free shipping these days. And her closing comment reminds me of like what a salty TikTok comment will leave me. It'll be like somebody whose profile picture is a picture of a dog and then the bio just is like spread kindness. And then it'll be like some comment like that.
That's a good point about the early days of drop shipping. I mean, both of them only did Instagram stories. And I'm just so curious, like, how do these companies that just pop up, like, how do they have so much money to pay Tana Mojo for an Instagram story or Gabby Hanna or whatever? Like, how do you have the funds for that?
Because I think that it's typically a company that has a lot of companies above it. I think it's usually like some bro who has started a bunch of different, you know, drop shipping companies. And so he has that money because like he's also in crypto.
So true. 100%. Okay, well, speaking of that, around the same time as the Kenza Cosmetics situation, YouTubers Jake Paul and Rice Gum promoted a website called Mystery Brand. According to The Verge, Jake and Rice Gum were paid at least $100,000 each to drive their followers to the website, which was basically just an online gambling platform where users would pay for different, quote, mystery boxes, quote unquote, in hopes that the prizes inside were luxury items. So some of the prizes that users could allegedly win included AirPods, iPhones, laptops, luxury cars, fashion, even a $250 million mansion. But as with all gambling, the chances of actually winning or even making your money back that you would spend on was low, obviously. Most people won prizes that you could get at an arcade. So Jake and Rice faced backlash for promoting gambling on their platforms, especially given both of the creators had predominantly very young fan bases. In response to the backlash, Rice Gum responded in a video explaining they offered him way more than $100,000. And he made the video because the website seemed easy enough and the money was too good. So problematic, but I mean, at least he was honest with his followers and said, they paid me way more than than $100,000, I guess. And that's why I made the video.
I mean, if you go to a convenience store here in Los Angeles, you're going to be able to buy a scratch ticket. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing to me as promoting a scratch ticket. It's kind of on you if you decide to take that gamble. To me, there's something different between buying brushes, makeup brushes, and saying, like, oh my God, I might win a house. Like, one of those things where it's like, if it was so easy, everyone would do it. So that's how you should know that it's probably too good to be true.
Yeah, and there's a difference between spending money expecting to get brushes and not getting them versus spending money on a mystery box or whatever online on this website and, getting a shitty prize and understanding that that's part of the deal. I guess it's because their follower base is so young, but that's like a whole other conversation about like kind of where is the ownership on, I guess, the influencer knowing who their fan base is versus fan base's parents, if they are children, knowing what their kids are watching and engaging in. It's like a whole bigger conversation there. But these same influencers, Jake Paul, Tana Mojo, got in trouble again because they were promoting crypto pump and dumps, which I feel like is the most recent kind of influencer scammy or like fraudulent thing to promote. So in 2021, there was a wave of influencers promoting cryptocurrency pump and dump schemes. Influencers like Jake Paul, Tana Mojo, Keemstar, and some of the members of FaZe Clan, and even Kim Kardashian, made posts asking their millions of fans to invest in relatively unknown cryptocurrencies, which created a FOMO effect by claiming the coin's value was on the rise. This strategy, which is called pump and dump, has existed for decades on the equity markets as a form of securities fraud that is often compared to a Ponzi scheme. Promoting these schemes became a popular way for influencers to make a quick buck during the crypto craze around 2021 to 2022. Unlike traditional pump and dump schemes, which rely on trading boiler rooms to call up potential investors and convince them to buy stock in the target company, BraveNewCoin.com explains that cryptocurrency pump and dump relies on social media to function, making influencer marketing the perfect medium to facilitate these schemes. Writer Alex Lilker writes, quote, "These schemes target low capitalization cryptocurrencies and digital tokens that can easily be manipulated with low trading volumes. Instead of boiler rooms, the price pumps are conducted by spreading hype and fake information about a coin on social media." So in these instances, the influencers basically tell their millions of followers that they're making money off a crypto coin. A fraction of their followers will invest in said coin, expecting to make gains as well. And as more followers buy in and the price spikes, the influencer sells their shares, makes a profit, and then that drives the share price down, which basically screws their followers out of that same return. So different variations of the scenario can play out depending on how the coin functions. Some are more transactional, while others function more like pyramid schemes, but the result is similar. The influencer walks away with profit that they essentially indirectly took from their fans' own pocket. So once consumers caught on to the scam, the backlash was really intense. 4 members of FaZe Clan were actually suspended or fired from the collective for promoting a pump and dump scheme. And in 2022, Kim Kardashian was actually fined by the SEC for promoting a pump and dump scheme. Kim advertised the cryptocurrency Ethereum Max on her Instagram without disclosing that she was paid to do so, driving the price up before the company planned to sell to investors. Kim was reportedly paid $250,000 to promote this coin on her Instagram, and she was fined $1.26 million.
My question would be like, was Kim also buying this and then
Yeah, I
selling
know.
it? Because like 1.26 million is really not that bad for a fine for Kim Kardashian, first of all. And considering like part of it could be paid in the 250 that she made from them. So I think there's got to be, and I think there had to be more for her to do a deal like that, because I don't think she would do something for as low as 250 at this day and age.
That's what I was thinking. $250 for an Instagram post for Kim feels low.
Yeah, I think that this to me is so much shadier than all of the other things. But at the same time, I would bet you that Jaclyn Hill has gotten more shit for affiliate links than Kim Kardashian has gotten for this.
That is such a good point. And this is quite literally like low-key stealing money from your followers. Like, it's wild.
Yes. Yeah. Martha
Yeah.
Stewart went to prison for like less than this.
No, legit. It's actually so wild. And I think we know because it all kind of came to a head like really quickly, the crypto craze and all this pump and dump stuff. And the backlash was quite severe very quickly, which is good. I think the general consumer, well, actually, maybe that's an overstatement, but I would say this has dissipated a lot. Like I think 2023, 2024, we don't really see influencers promoting crypto, possibly because we know what they're doing now because they got in trouble so quickly, or maybe just because everybody started getting in trouble. They're like, this isn't worth it. So that's good. But I agree, it's so much more insidious than just not disclosing your affiliate link. Okay. The next little type of fraud, not little, but the next type of fraud that I wanted to talk with you about, and I'm so interested to hear your perspective because we're going to talk about TikTok Shop, but in Australia, we don't have TikTok Shop. So I really want to hear what it's like for
God.
you. Yeah, like as a
Yeah.
US consumer and a creator yourself. So for anyone that is like not super familiar with TikTok Shop, I think it's actually only in the US, Brazil. There's only like 4 or 5 countries that have it right now. So in September 2023, TikTok Shop officially launched in the US. The concept stems from hashtag TikTok made me buy it, allowing users to shop the products they see without having to leave the platform. Per TechCrunch, quote, creators can tag products to make it easier for users to buy things from in-feed videos and live videos. Brands can make their own product portfolios, which can be accessible from their profile pages. TikTok Shop also has a dedicated tab, which it rolled out to other markets in June to let users search for different products, discover products through recommendations, browse items in different categories, and manage their orders. So there have been many issues with TikTok Shop. The first being that the feature was in response to existing predatory business models flourishing on the app, like MLMs and drop shipping. According to journalist Chase D. Benedetto for Mashable, quote, the idea built on an already growing community of multi-level marketers and drop shippers, businesses that don't make, store, or ship the products they're selling, using TikTok For You pages as advertising space and TikTok Lives as the new social media selling haven. Okay, so what are your high-level thoughts on that before I keep going?
When I first heard that this was coming about a year and a half ago, someone told me that live shopping experiences were becoming really big in other parts of the world. So to prepare myself for the fact that this was coming to TikTok, and I kind of tucked it away in the back of my mind, but it really has impacted the app experience in a negative way. And I'm fed so many ads, and it's made consuming content much less interesting. And it's very apparent to me that TikTok is prioritizing creators who utilize TikTok Shop.
Oh my God, that's so interesting because, yeah, like I said, we don't have it here. And we also don't have the creator fund. So we don't really make any money off of TikTok, the company here. So I feel like our experience is so probably like from the US perspective, it's probably feels like, early days of 2020 still on my app.
In some ways, that sounds lovely. Like, I do like the creator fund, but since TikTok Shop really launched, they have dialed back a little bit on the creator fund and they want creators to focus on TikTok Shop. And I went from getting like maybe 2 or 3 spammy type emails asking about collaborations per week to getting like 3 an hour in my email inbox asking me like, hey, we have this bodysuit and it's on TikTok Shop and will you make something for it? And we'll send you a free one. And then you'll get 15% commission. And then I'll look at the reviews and they're like, it smells like plastic. And you're like, I don't want this.
Okay, yes, because that is one of the things when I was researching this section of the episode that people were saying, like creators were saying, is that now they get constant emails from sellers trying to get them to partner with them because essentially TikTok Shop has an affiliate funnel for sellers where it lets them work with creators on a commission basis. So there's already like a lot of like legal issues and kind of outright scams on this. According to the Better Business Bureau, quote, almost half, as in 48% of TikTok users have purchased something they've seen on the app, putting a significant number of users at risk of being scammed by dishonest third-party sellers. The app's largest demographic is 10 to 19-year-olds, a group that may have reduced awareness around identifying a scam. So one of the biggest things, like you said, is that TikTok Shop sellers have been accused of pressuring popular creators into featuring their shop in content or partnering with them for commission. So one of the creators at PT Rad, she posted on Twitter in February writing, one of the reasons people keep promoting TikTok Shop is because all the different third-party sellers literally will never stop DMing creators and trying to wear them down. I get like 50 DMs a day and I've only taken like 4 official offers in the span of a few months. They start DMing you in other places and emailing you too. Like I can see why some people also just have whole accounts dedicated to TikTok Shop now. They don't leave people alone.
Yeah. And I am not someone who wants to use my platform to sell a lot of stuff. I
Mhm.
am trying to move away from how much stuff I consume. I think that's a good way to be. And it does feel like so inauthentic to the app too, because the origins of TikTok were so much more fun and that we were just like sharing these little parts of our day. And it felt like, you remember the beginning of the pandemic? I remember like sort of some of the taglines around TikTok were like, everyone is a star.
Mhm.
So that was sort of the beginning of what TikTok was like in those early days of TikTok. But now it's become like, you got to be monetizing your content, you got to be hustling. And it feels like we're harkening back to that girl boss era, that we're just changing the method. We're using TikTok Shop instead of selling, Beachbody, which I don't know. Did you have Beachbody in Australia?
I've never like engaged with Beachbody, but I know what it is. Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, I don't really see anybody promoting Beachbody anymore, but I see people being like, no, because it's the way you need this hoodie. And you're like, they also do it in such a way you figure out all the buzzwords when you start to watch these videos. They're very easy to deconstruct. They'll always
Mm.
start it with a like, I was so unsure about buying something from TikTok Shop. So right away, they do the same things that MLMs do, which like when people try to recruit you to an MLM, the first thing they'll say is, I know I was skeptical at first. They do
Mhm.
the same thing. And then they'll say, but the quality of this sweater is so amazing, or it's selling out, or, they'll use sort of like the Gen Z language of like, do you have a sweater that just sweaters? This is one of those. And you're like, no, it's not. It looks like shit. That's the other thing is like, I was looking at this very popular American flag sweater that I keep seeing on TikTok Shop. All right. And I looked at the video of the person wearing it who's like, I finally broke down and got the viral sweater. By using keywords like that, you're also letting people know that it's something that's a trend that they should buy into by being like, this is viral. This is so good. This is the one that everyone has, right?
Mhm.
When you look at the sweater on the person versus the pictures that you can see on the TikTok Shop, the American flag is like an inch below the collar on the like one that everybody owns. And so it looks really awkward. Like people don't usually have the logo like right below a collar,
Mhm.
but on the TikTok Shop, it is like 6 inches below and looks much more normal. But I'm like, that's the other piece of it is like the things that you're seeing are, I think, like made in AI half the time.
No, totally. And that's one of the problems is like the fact that a lot of these, well, not, I don't know about a lot, but some of the problems would be that shops are advertising products, taking your money, sending you things that are not what you bought, or they never send them, and copyright infringement as well. So shops selling products with designs, illustrations, packaging, that kind of stuff that they don't have the rights to use. We have two more types of like influencery scams to talk about. The next one is fake giveaways. So in the late 2010s, luxury giveaways became a staple on influencers' Instagram grids. The posts for these giveaways would feature the celebrity surrounded by luxury items like bags, shoes, or technology. And interestingly, these giveaways are not about the celebrity or the influencer getting followers. Typically, a giveaway requires you to follow the person who is promoting it, so it is kind of a way for them to grow their following. Typically, these giveaways ask you to follow a specific Instagram account that is tagged in the caption. Go to that account and then follow all of the accounts that that page follows as well. So that page is the company running the giveaway, and the accounts that the page follows are all the brands who have bought in to get promoted in the giveaway. So a couple of years ago, pop culture creator IG famous Dana investigated these giveaways. She was actually sent a copy of an email that was sent out for a giveaway follow train with Khloe Kardashian. So I will just read a couple excerpts from it. So again, she didn't receive this email. This was sent to her from somebody like a follower, presumably. Khloe just welcomed a second child, which gives us the perfect timing for our motherhood targeted giveaway. We have exclusive rights to help stock Khloe's nursery and playroom, and included in this giveaway, each company joining the giveaway can ship a product box, which we will bring to Khloe directly. This gives you a huge advantage and in with the Kardashians. The cost of this giveaway is $8,500 USD and is available on a first come, first serve basis. We also have very limited product placement spots for $12,500 USD. This includes featuring one of your products on the main giveaway photo with Khloe. Okay, brands that are doing these giveaways, they are providing the influencer or the celebrity with like free product, obviously, presumably free product for the quote unquote winners, and they are paying thousands of dollars to join this giveaway. So essentially, these giveaways, when you look at it like this, are an easy way for an influencer or a celebrity to make like a really quick and easy paydays. And the companies that run these giveaways obviously take a cut of the brand fees. And then, like I said, the brand presumably has to fork up free product for the winners of these giveaways, if there even are winners, which is highly contested. So in 2022, Kim Kardashian and Scott Disick were sued for $40 million, so $20 million each, for promoting these luxury prizes that were part of a fake lottery scam. The plaintiffs, who participated in the contest but did not win, claimed that the Australian company behind the giveaway curated businesses organized it to collect and sell their data to advertisers. This lawsuit brought about questions regarding the legitimacy of these giveaways and if people actually ever win. For this specific giveaway, Kim promoted it on Instagram, as well as Khloe Kardashian, Kourtney Kardashian, Kris Jenner, Kylie Jenner, Sophia Richie, Gretchen Rossi from Real Housewives of OC, and Christine Quinn. Curated businesses also told TMZ that they did have authentic winners and they had the paperwork to show it. Now, I was looking at their website. On the frequently asked questions section on their website, it's so sketch. So they say, how is the winner selected? We engage the services of a third-party facilitator to conduct a random draw of all eligible entrants.
It's North. North.
Literally.
North has probably got like a bunch of names in it.
Yes.
She's just pulling it out.
Absolutely. I'm dead. And then one of the question right after that, they talk about like Australian government laws and stuff. Right after that says, nobody from my company /race/ethnicity has ever won. Why? That is such a sketch thing to have to put on your frequently asked questions page. Yeah.
FAQs only exist too because someone has asked the question before.
Yeah. No, it's actually wild. So then they have a link. And if you click on the link, it says previous winners can be viewed here. Almost every single winner on this page has an asterisk beside that says like so-and-so won, asterisk subject to eligibility verification. What the fuck does that mean? There's like 2 winners out of like the years that they've done it where it says like they've won it and they don't have this asterisk beside them. Everyone else, including people from like 2020, 2021, like years back, says they won, except maybe not because they might not be eligible. Like it's so shady.
That is wild.
Yeah, just don't enter these giveaways because I believe in my heart of hearts, nobody wins these.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I really want to caution people against, and like, listen, I have a lot to learn, but do not underestimate how valuable your data is. Like when people wonder, like, did you know Kylie still has a clothing line?
No.
Remember
Wait,
Kylie started a clothing line?
Kai,
the clothing line?
Yeah.
Remember?
Okay.
Like it was
Yeah.
like a year ago. We never hear about it now. We don't hear about Kai.
No.
And if you go on there, you'll see that like the latest drop is very similar to a recent Skims drop. And, you know, I don't think that the brand really took off when it first launched. But make no mistake, they will still collect your data and they will still, I would argue, most likely sell that, use it with their other businesses, etc. So don't underestimate how valuable data is. And a lot of times people will say to me like, well, whatever. So they have my name and my address. No, it's not just that. They have your spending habits. They might be tracking you with cookies. They might it is really valuable things that other brands want to try to understand consumer habits.
And we've seen data be used in such horrible and insidious ways that have literally impacted like politics and social justice over the years. It's not just, oh, I'm going to get a targeted ad for something that I actually want to buy.
Right.
Okay. And the last quote unquote scam that we wanted to dive into is kind of a newish one that's making its way across social media. It's called master resell rights, or MRR. So I was actually introduced to MRR via CC, or Chelsea Suarez, who makes content about MLMs and scams on YouTube. Chelsea did a video on Jordan Cheyenne, who was the mommy YouTuber who is now notorious for forgetting to edit out a clip of her telling her son to cry for her vlog thumbnail. That was like a big scandal. I think it was about 2 years ago now, because Jordan is now promoting MRR and calling herself an MRR expert on social media. So MRR is basically a new style of MLM. MRR started with a single digital marketing course, Roadmap to Riches, which came with the rights to resell it. And this particular course started blowing up on TikTok in the middle of 2023. So MRR is when someone, usually a creator, but not always, creates a course and then sells the rights to resell that course for 100% of the profit. So basically, you're buying the course and they frame it as giving their followers this opportunity to make money off the work they've already done. So if you buy a creator's course or an e-guide, instead of just, like, I don't know, sending it to your friend after you've read it or used it, you can just sell it to them now for 100% of what you paid for it. So the caveats to these quote unquote rights is you don't have the copyright, obviously, you just have the resell rights. So you have to sell it under the existing course name. You cannot change or remove content, but you can add content to it. So I guess if you are like buying someone's course and then you create like YouTube content and you want to resell it, you can add like a module about YouTube, for example, which I guess for somebody who is like interested in building a YouTube channel, that might make the course more valuable to them than buying it from someone else who didn't add that module, is I think the theory behind it. However, you also have to resell this course at least how much you bought it for. So if you bought the course, these courses are like hundreds of dollars. If you bought this course for like $400,
Right.
you can't sell it to somebody for $200. It has to be $400.
Yeah. And I mean, that is not chump change. What some of these courses sell for, $477. You could go take a class at community college for that.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a pyramid scheme vibe. Like, I don't know if it's quite a pyramid
Yes.
scheme, but it's such a vibe like that because it's like you're reselling this thing. Like, you don't actually own the product. It's not even really like a physical product. Somebody else created it. Anyways, so now the added layer to this, there's like an added layer of boss babe to this. People are now teaching others how to buy and sell courses with MRR. So, like a resell of a resell market, essentially. This is why Jordan Cheyenne calls herself an MRR expert, because the market is already quite saturated for MRR courses, right? Like when you search Roadmap to Riches on Etsy or Google, you'll find hundreds of pages advertising that same course and people trying to resell the course that they bought. So now the problem is like, how do you stand out if you're trying to resell that course, which is the problem with MLMs. Like you have to get in right at the bottom. Otherwise, you won't make any money. So enter MRR experts. So MRR experts basically sell their own course on how to buy and sell MRR courses effectively. Oh, it's so wild. So their courses will allegedly teach you how to market MRR courses well so that your course is like, I guess, the one that people choose to buy when they look it up. It's so wild. So the whole market hinges, like I said, on you being kind of the first person or one of the first people to buy a course so you actually have a shot at reselling it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think also too, there's a lot of the same dialogue happening where it's like, oh, so you don't want to make a ton of money just by selling a digital product and be able to quit your 9 to 5 job. And that's kind of the same, way that MLMs were often sold to women, is like, they'd be like, why are you still working a 9 to 5 when you could work half the amount of time and from your home and make as much money and be your own boss? And so there's kind of this like shame going on in it. So as a content creator myself, even though it's not my main source of income, it's sort of hard to watch it because I know and all the work that goes into making a career in content happen. It's I'm not saying that it's the hardest career in the entire world or anything like that. I'm just saying that it is still work. It doesn't come easy. You still have to put a lot of work into it. So when I see people putting up videos that are like, oh, you say you want to make money online? Well, why aren't you selling a digital course? I'm like, I can tell you right now, you're not going to make a lot of money from that, if any.
For sure. And
Yeah.
it's such binary language. They'll use language like, oh, well, not everything that sounds too good to be true is a pyramid scheme. Not everything is a scam. Like there are people making $60,000 a month from doing MRR. It's like, yeah, maybe there are a few people making that much money a month. Like that can be true, while also the fact that it is a scam can be true. Like it's not one or the other.
Right. And I think I see people following this and falling into the trap of like, just get a Canva account, make a digital course, start selling it. And it's like, okay, so like, what do you have in your skill set that people are going to pay?
Yeah.
Like, because that's the other thing now is they're saying like, make your own, make a meal prep guide. I'm sorry, but like, I'm not going to spend $400 for your meal prep guide. Like person who didn't go to, school for be a registered dietitian or isn't a chef or a cook. Like I'm not going to buy your meal prep guide, especially when there's so much free meal prep guides out there. Like
Yeah.
if you want to know how to market yourself better on social media, there are free YouTube videos.
Exactly. There's so much free content out there. Like, do not buy someone's course unless they are really qualified and you followed them and you really appreciate their advice. And, you know, like if it's affordable, I think that's kind of part of it too. Like one of my friends, she's trying to launch like an e-commerce side of her business and she bought a course from this female entrepreneur woman. Like she kind of has like a media business around that on how to do it. But the course was like, I don't know, I think it was like $40. So she was like, you know what, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to see if I'm going to learn anything from it. She's like, I learned like 2 things, but that was worth the $40, you know?
Right. And anything that's like Road to Riches,
Red flag.
I don't know. Go watch reruns of Susie Orman instead.
Yeah, like listen to Diary of a CEO or something. I can't. Okay, well, this has been so amazing, Meredith. Thank you so much for joining me. Honestly, this was so fun. I'm sorry that I took up so much of your time, but we just had so much to cover.
This was so much fun. I loved being here. Thank you for all that you're doing. I am all about being in the Centennial world.
Thank you. Infinite Scroll is a podcast written, produced, and presented by me, Lauren Meisner, for Centennial World. Additional research and reporting is by Annabelle Ben-David. Editing is by Danny Fennick. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.